Hello, and welcome to today's Alertus Power Lunch, mastering the 3 levels of testing: test mode, silent test, and audible test. My name is Sarah, and I'm a training specialist here at Alertus, and I'm also joined by Brooke Petrozelli, who is another training specialist here with us. And this is a 2-part series where we will explore how to fully utilize Alertus's testing capabilities to ensure your system is functioning properly without disrupting normal operations. So during this session, we will focus on enabling test mode for safe system configuration and conducting silent tests for non-intrusive alert validation. We will also discuss some best practices for regular testing and ensuring system readiness. But without further ado, I'll pass it over to Brooke to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. As you mentioned, we're going to be covering 2 types of testing today. The third type of testing will be covered next week by Sarah in a power lunch on next Friday. So I will start sharing my screen and we can take a look into our console. So as an administrator, I will log into the console. This is most of what I'll be doing will need admin status credentials because we'll be building alert services and building out presets and scheduled alerts, etc. If you're not an admin in the system, you might not have some of these capabilities, but it's very important to schedule your tests or at least test monthly or quarterly, just to make sure that things are running smoothly with your system, and keep an eye on any endpoint behavior that you might want to change. So the first way that we are going to look at testing is enabling the test mode in custom event triggers. So with custom event triggers, it actually currently is on right now. I'm actually going to disable it first so I can show you what it looks like without. So if I don't have test mode on, I am able to use all of these custom event triggers to make the system do the alert that it is triggered to do. So I am pulling up my Alertus mobile app right now, and I'm going to send an alert to the system, and we'll be able to see how it triggers the alert. So I am sending my first test alert, and it says report sent. And now we see there is an active alert at the bottom of the screen. It has activated the system. Once I pull it up, I'm also able to see the message.
Delete is reporting an incident and requesting help.
And it's also actively targeting my endpoints. So my desktop went off and any other alert services that I have targeted will also go off. I'm going to cancel this alert right now because it is a test. And now you see there's no more active alert. But if I go to my event dashboard, I'm able to see that this specific alert came into the system at this specific time, and it executed the custom event triggers and these specific presets. So you're able to see what the system did once this was triggered, and it actually activated my endpoints. If I want to make sure that it's processing correctly and it's doing all the things properly in my event dashboard, but I don't want to actually target my endpoints. I don't want all my desktops to go off. I don't want to actually have the alert do anything because I'm just testing. The way that you would do that is you would enable our test mode. So if you enable the test mode, now it says test mode enabled, everything's in red. It's pretty clear that this is enabled. And if I do the exact same thing that I just did, so once again, I'm in my mobile app and I'm sending a test mode. And if I send it, yes, we are able to see that nothing's really happening. There's no active alerts. I'm not going to get a desktop alert. Nothing is being triggered by the system to actually respond. But if I go to the dashboard, event dashboard, I am able to see that it did come into the system and it matches certain things, but my custom event trigger actions are disabled. So I'm able to see it does match a trigger. It will send off a preset activation, but it didn't do it because the test mode is enabled. So this is a great way to make sure that your XML format, if you take a look at that, is being targeted correctly and everything is set up correctly in your custom event without having to then target the actual endpoints. So that is the first way to make sure that you are sending alerts properly. You can also resend this and send a modified version if you want to test that way. You can change a few things in here directly in the feed and then send the event, and you can see what it does down here as well. Or you can also send an ad hoc event if you want to create the XML this way as well. But I'm going to now turn back on my turn off my test mode and enable my trigger events, custom event triggers again. So now these will work as configured. So once again, that is the first way to test your system. The second way we're going to look at today is silent tests. So this is actually going to trigger endpoints, but they are going to be triggered in a silent fashion. So the three most common endpoints that we utilize at Alertus are the alert beacon, our text-to-speech speaker, and our desktop. So I'm going to configure 3 different alert services that will be pulled into a preset alert to target a silent test. So with the alert beacon, this actually, we don't have to do much in the alert service because all of the settings are customized when activating and creating alert. So alert beacon, we're good to go for now. The next one we're going to look at is the text-to-speech. So with text-to-speech, we want to send a silent wave file and make sure that everything we're activating that is attached to our text-to-speech speaker is also silent. So in our media section that comes standard with all of our configurations, there is a wave file for 1 second that is a silent test. If I play this, you hear nothing. It is silent. So this we're going to pull into a text-to-speech alert service, but we also want to make sure we have the right relay profile set up as well. So I have the media, and now I'm going to go to text-to-speech. All of this looks right at the very bottom. We're going to scroll down to relay profiles. And this is in case you have any peripherals attached to your text-to-speech devices. So if you have strobes or sirens or anything else, we want those to be silent as well. So I'm going to add a relay profile. I'm going to name it silent test. I am also going to, you can add a description used during a silent test. The mode is going to be custom. And for the duration, I'm going to do 1 second. So that means that anything that is attached to your text-to-speech device will only go off for 1 second instead of the full duration of the alert. So now that it's added as a relay profile, and I have all the pieces that I need to create my alert service. So I'm going to go back up to alert service. I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to pull in my text-to-speech service type right here. And I'm going to name it text-to-speech silent test. If I scroll further down, I have all these different settings. We want all of these parts to be silent. So the audio play count will just be like either the text-to-speech or wave file. The audio play count will include the pre-wave or post-wave, and the play count total will include the delay as well. For pre-wave, we don't want any audio. We want it silent. The actual audio, we have to add something here. So I'm going to pull in my silent wave file. So now that is there. I only want this to go 1 time. I don't want a post-wave audio. Everything's silent. I'm going to go 1 time, 1 time, 1 time. Everything's set for once. My LED behavior, that's if there is an LED marquee attached. I'm going to say no action, but if you did want it to have a scroll to still be silent, it won't make any noise, but you could have it pop up on that marquee. You can do that as well. But I'm, like I said, going to have everything silent. And then for my relay profile, I'm going to pull in my silent test relay profile that I just created. And now I have my text-to-speech down here, text-to-speech silent test that I can pull into a preset. So I have my alert beacon, I have my text-to-speech, and the last thing is desktop. So with desktop, as you can see, I already have a bunch of other desktop alert services, but I need one that will be silent. So I'm going to go to desktop to create another desktop profile. So here underneath desktop profiles, I'll add a new one. I will name it Alertus Desktop Silent Test. And I'm going to use the pop-up. mode. And when you have this pop-up mode, you can choose your look, and we have something already called hidden test. So hidden test is actually going to be a 1 pixel by 1 pixel alert that will pop up very, 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 very small on a screen that it's basically hidden and won't be able to be seen. I'm going to double check that my display settings are good. It's in the bottom right, and my audio is set to no audio because we once again want it to be silent. My variables all look good, and then I'll add. When I add, I have the option to create a new alert service, which I want to do. So Alertus desktop, silent test, submit. And now I have my alert beacon, my Alertus desktop silent test, and my text-to-speech silent test. So I have all 3 of my alert services configured properly. And the next step is to go put those all together in a preset. So here I have all of my preset alerts that I've ever created. I can quick access them here, give them a star to show up. I also below have my preset types. These are just the different icons that you can create to visually make your presets look different. And I'm going to add a new one from scratch. So add preset alert. This is going to be our scheduled silent test. And my preset type, I'm just going to keep it default because it will look like this on your icon. So now I can pull in a message, or if you don't want it to say anything, you don't have to, but I have one that says system test, and I'm just going to include the word silent. So in case this does pop up on any alert beacons, people know what's going on. They can read that it's a silent test, no action is needed, etc. I'm going to set it to the lowest duration, which will be 2 minutes. And I'm also going to set it to the lowest priority. So that means that if there is an emergency at the same time of the silent test, the emergency will be at a higher priority and will trump this alert and will go out above it. So my message is composed. My next step is adding the alert services. So I'm going to add in the 3 ones I just made. I want the alert beacon, I want the Alertus desktop silent test, and I want my text-to-speech silent test. So these 2 are already configured properly. The alert beacon has the ability to further incorporate the settings here. So I'm going to take a peek into my alert beacon settings, and I want my alert beacon to be silent. It will still have the message pop up, so it will say this is a silent test, but it will be no strobe lights, there will be no sound. And so I'll set this to no duration, I'll set this to silent, and I'll set the visual alert type to off. So everything is off here. If I wanted to enable my peripheral settings, I could, and they would blink once. But I want this to be a completely silent test, so I'm going to not enable any peripherals. So I have all of my alert services set up, and I also want to target all of my devices of my alert beacons, my desktops, and my silent test, just to make sure that everything is working properly. So I'm going to add this. And now I have my scheduled silent test. I believe it's on page 2 because it's alphabetical right here. Silent test scheduled to go to these 3 alert services to everyone. And now I'm going to actually set up the system to schedule this out every week. So I'm going to go to scheduled alerts. I'm going to add a scheduled alert. I'm going to name this my scheduled silent test. And then I'll just pull in the preset that I just created. So my scheduled silent test, I want it to go off every Monday at 1 p.m., which this is military time. So it'll be 1300 hours, 1300 hour, 1 p.m. And then I want this to repeat by weeks every Monday. And so I'm able to see for the next bunch of Mondays, the dates and the times that it will be going off for. And I'll add this. And now I'm able to see if I change this to the next 30 days, these are all of the scheduled alert tests that will be going off in this time. So now we have created a silent test that will actually activate our endpoints and trigger the system. We have set that up to be scheduled, so it's going to go every week. And we also have taken a peek at the enable the test mode function for wanting to make sure that our custom event triggers are working without actually targeting any endpoints. Any questions about these 2 types of test modes? All right, great. I'm glad that everyone has this down. This is being recorded, so absolutely you can revisit this in the future if you want to set this up with your system as well. And I'll throw it back over to Sarah to talk about next week's next week power lunch as well. And I am also going to put in the chat, once I copy it over, a link that is a knowledge-based article about how to set up the silent test as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Brooke. That was very helpful. And next week we will be continuing this testing series. So I will show you how to set up an Audible test alert so that you can test the function and the audibility of all of your devices. And then I'll also discuss some best practices for setting up that system test, and then also show you how you can connect with support if throughout this testing process you notice there are any issues or challenges that you'd like some assistance looking at. So hopefully we'll see you there next week, and I'm looking forward to it.